empty Glocks. Let's load one of them back up. Yes, 2 empty Glocks. Whoa, 2 empty Glock 23s. We're going to do a serious video here today. Glock 23 versus Glock 23 and see which one wins. How's that? All right. Could come out even. You never know. Actually, it's a Glock 23 Generation 2 versus a Glock 23 Gen 4. So let's take a look at them before we shoot them some more. Whoa, a poet, don't know it. All right, here we have Generation, let's take the mags out, Generation 2, and here we have Generation 4. All right, now this is a Glock 19, and it's a Generation 3 gun. Thought since we're talking generations here a little bit, and I don't really have a Generation 3 Glock 23, we'll just very quickly review that a little bit. This is an older Glock 23. This is the one I've been using that I shot in the 230 yard video and everything. And I got the old, got a lot of dirt and dust on, I guess, my grips here. But that does not have the finger grooves. So that's an indicator it's a Generation 2 Glock, all right? Has the old style finish on it. Kind of a flat, very flat finish, which I actually like a lot. And gave Glock a hard time. I called down there years ago in the mid-90s, I guess it was, when they started putting this slicker finish, actually like this Glock 22, or second generation rather, of this is John's gun, has on it. It's not as bad as some of them were actually. This is one of the Austrian models. It's just slicker. I told them it was like I had a Teflon finish, and I wanted to send mine to them that I had, whatever model it was, and see if they'd put the old finish on it, and they just kind of frowned on that. But anyway, and on the Gen 4, I will happily report, as I think I already have, they have flattened out that finish some, gotten rid of that Teflon-like finish, and you can get a nice grip on the serrations again, just like the old Glock. So that's a pleasant surprise in some ways on the Gen 4 guns. Okay, so let's go ahead. So again, if you got the finger grooves, you're talking Generation 3 there, and of course during Generation 3 they start putting the rails on there, so that's one of the differences there. You notice those are not on the Generation 2 gun. So let's lay that one over there. You're okay. We don't mean to ostracize you there. Okay, so because we're going to talk about the two Glock 23s a little bit here. So you notice they both seem to shoot. They seem to do okay. Again, the finish is back to a more similar finish. You know, that's kind of nice, and I was pleased with that. Other differences that are obvious on the outside. Of course, this has the rail, but so do the Generation 3 guns. Not a lot of differences. You do have the replaceable back straps there, which I've gone over in previous videos, and I've got this kind of covered up. I Frankensteined a little bit there with my my Talon grips. Got some extra padding because again, I like a straight grip on a gun, and I didn't want to grind on this Generation 4 gun or do anything. And the back straps, even though you have replaceable back straps, it still doesn't do away entirely with the hump. So I did a little filling in there without affecting the actual. Did not use a Dremel. I'm just using the cover up, and it actually feels pretty good. I've got it right where I want it there. Okay. So on the outside, that's the big difference, I guess. And of course, the mag release is reversible. I like the mag release on the new guns. I've come to decide that I kind of like that. It's a little bigger, but it's not in so big that you're, I think, more at risk of pushing it inadvertently or anything. I've shot this gun a little bit now and some of the other Gen 4 guns, and I kind of like that. Actually do. And the back straps, I guess, are the biggest difference on the outside. So now questions come up, and boy, they do abound about which parts are interchangeable. If you look on the forums, there's just all kinds of talk about that. And I was one of the early ones. I was curious as to whether or not I could just buy one of these springs, because I know when the Gen 4s were first coming out, there was a report they were putting a captured spring, a dual spring, recoil spring in them, and I wondered what the big deal was. If that was the only change, can I just order the spring and put it in my gun? And of course I got a quick answer to that wouldn't work. So I'm going to take these apart, and again, I don't know everything there is to know about these, but I do know what I've discovered. And first of all, the difference in the springs, I think I've shown this before. You have a dual recoil spring there, so they're dramatically different. And you see that the ends are bigger on the Gen 4 spring, so something had to be different on the slide, right? That's why the slides are not interchangeable. If you put this spring in your Gen 4 gun, this is a Gen 2, or in the Gen 3 the same way, it's not going to work, is it? It's not going to hold. So that's pretty obvious. It takes the larger spring to to fit. So the end of the barrel, the slide rather, is different. That's bigger. Okay. I can't see any difference in the barrel, to tell you the truth. They claim, everything I read says the barrel is different, and the lug is a little different, but I really can't tell any difference. Someone else might have some information on that. In fact, I interchanged these barrels in these two guns, and they seem to function just fine, and I didn't shoot them. But as far as working the slides and tight lockup and everything, I could not tell any difference. But again, there's no real reason to interchange them, so I just didn't do it, or I didn't fire them. So I'll wait till the verdict's totally in on that, or I have more knowledge. Little learning is a dangerous thing. You got to know your limitations. There might be something about them that is different that wouldn't be good for the gun. So they look the same to me. So the slides are where you have your big difference there. You look down the ends of the slides and you see quite a lot of difference there, where the springs are captured there at the end. That's the big difference right there, in the slide. Okay, so you can't put a Generation 4 slide on a Generation 3 gun. All right. And once you get this spring in, I'll show you, you think, well, yeah, the slide's different, and you got all that, but you sure that won't fit on the Generation 2 or 3 frame? Well, the reason it won't, see, we'll just go back up and it'll hang up. And what's hanging up, of course, is the end of that spring. See, it's bigger, as I showed you earlier. It's much, much larger. And so it hangs up in here, right on that little lip there. You can see that. You can see the difference here. I'll turn them both around here. So you don't have that on the Gen 4. The Gen 4 is on your left as you look at it, and you can see that's almost flush and almost non-existent. So when you pull that back in there, you need that opening bigger to receive that Gen 4 spring. So that's what you got there. So it won't even slide onto it. And then the front of it's a little more opened up. You can tell there too. So anyway, not a lot of it is interchangeable. Not that I guess you'd necessarily want to, but it's just not really interchangeable. So the spring is a big difference, and the attempt there, I think, was to reduce the felt recoil or muzzle flip. And as I pointed out with the Glock 22, I do see a little difference there. It's not dramatic, but I can tell a little bit of difference in the way it recoils. Doesn't flip up as much. Of course, you can't cheat physics. There's still got the same amount of force from whatever cartridge you're shooting, but that's kind of that. In a nutshell, those are the big differences there. Not a lot of it's interchangeable, and as I understand, a lot of the parts companies don't have all the parts yet or anything, and it'll be easier to tell. I usually go to Lone Wolf distributors, and if I'm concerned about whether something fits on a different generation or model, I look at the part numbers. If I'm looking at a slide lock, whatever it is that different on a Glock 22 versus a Glock 19 second generation, whatever it is, and you can just look at the part number and, oh, okay, it must be, because it's the same part. So that's the old-fashioned method that I use. Okay, so 2 Glock 23s. As you know from, I guess, one of my FAQs, I finally admitted when someone, well, people have tried to pin me down. Well, they do it daily. What's your favorite gun, your favorite Glock, your favorite this? If I had to choose just one, it would be the Glock 23. As I said in an FAQ, I do really like all 4 of those Glock Fab 4, the video Glock Fab 4 the 26, the 27, the 23, the 19. You know, any one of those is fine for like an only Glock. So the Glock 23 wins, but just by a hair, really. It really does. It's a great size. It's a mid-range power. So I just like it and always have. And I do say always because I had one of the very first ones that came out. So it was kind of in this genre. This is a early to mid 90s model right here. So we got almost 20 years between these two, probably 16 years, something like that. I don't know. Well, let's shoot them a little bit and look at the difference if you can tell anything about it. And I should be loading mags as I gab here. We're shooting 180 grain ammo as I always do. Either Federal, some of this is some of the Blazer brass ammo I picked up at Walmart. I don't know, back when they seemed to have more of that. And then some of it's Federal. It's all same basic load, 180 grain, full metal jacket. And we'll just take a few shots here. They're all fun to shoot, I'll tell you what, whatever the generation is. And at least in the 40s, you know, I've not noticed any problems or had any problems. I know there's people all over the internet complaining about the changes that the Glock has made to the Gen 4 guns and the spring and everything. But with the 40, you know, this is I guess my second Gen 4 gun. I've not had any problems and they feel fine. But now I've not tried a 9mm yet. Okay. Nice piece of hardware here. Let's put a few rounds down range. What I should do, give you a chance to reach your own conclusions perhaps here. Take a few shots, attempting to hold both guns exactly the same way and see what you can tell just by kind of looking over my shoulder. Okay, so I'm going to load the Gen 4, put my ears on here, and I'm going to shoot, why don't we do it this way? We'll load both of them up, both hot. That was not hot, but it is now. Okay, let's put it in my holster. I'm trying out the Crossbreed Super Tuck holster there, by the way. And this is my old Phobos holster I use a lot. Got them both on. Here I am geared up again for real combat. Even had to put my knife in a tactical position here because I got my pocket covered up, so had to go tactical with that today. So we'll keep that there. And I've got some mag pouches over here with extra mags in them. All right, I'll tell you what I'll do. I may just take shots of something here easy to hit. And you just look at the slide and the recoil and see if you can tell anything about maybe any difference, okay? I think I'll take 5 shots with each one, okay? This is the old one, okay, Generation 2. I'm just going to try to hold steady on the barrel and take 5 shots like I normally would, same grip. Okay, same hold, same point of impact, hopefully, this gun. Generation 4. Okay, I'm gonna do 4 more. Old gun, Generation 2. Generation 4. Okay. Now, I don't know what you can tell. We'll look at the video too and see if we have any impressions of it, but the Generation 4 doesn't feel that it flips up as much to me. And it's all psychological, I guess, but it almost feels like there's a little bit less recoil. That's my impression. Okay, now they both shoot well, I know that. Let's try some more shots. This is Generation 4. Let's go pig hunting. like the feel of that gun. I really do. It has a different kind of recoil, and in the Glock 23, it's a pleasant feel, I have to say. It's a pleasant feel. Let's try the Glock. I think I'm about out of ammo with that one. 23, generation 2 now. I'll go back over on the hill. Okay, that one feels good too. Of course, I should be able to shoot this one at any range. This is, again, my 230-yard video Glock 23. I think the more I shoot them together like this, and you know, I haven't done this until this video, I'm sensing more and more difference, or maybe not more difference in quantity. It's just whatever difference there is, let's say it's 10% or 20% or 14%, whatever that difference is, I'm more in tune with, I'm more in touch with it by doing this. So I'm definitely convinced there's a difference, and I kind of like the feel of this one. I don't know, it does feel, you know, I got to shooting a little too fast with it, the Gen 4, and that was part of it. I just felt like I was shooting a 9. It just, you know, I don't know. Don't want to oversell it, but it does feel fine. Of course, Glock 22 mag, you know, you can put these in. Let's do the 23 Gen 4 again here, close up. Let's get this guy before he goes away. Feels good. Feels really good. Of course, the only reason I'm doing this video is give me a chance an excuse to come out and shoot the Glock 23, one of my favorite guns of all time, right? Put these bullets out on the kangaroo skin here. We're gonna do something with this kangaroo skin here, of course, as we've talked about. That Steve Lee signed it when he was up here, and we're going to do a video on it. We're just still toying with exactly what we're going to do. I haven't forgotten about that. Going to use it in some of our videos. Yeah, big 180 grain bullets. Load up another one here, finish this one off. I could shoot these guns all day. Boy, could I shoot them all day. Again, I have not noticed any differences or any problems with the Gen 4s in the 40 caliber. That's my experience. So I don't know, I haven't really noticed anything about the comments on forums with the Gen 4, but let's take a couple more shots. I guess you've seen the Gen 3. Let's shoot the Gen 4 again here. We'll do a little more comparison here. Okay, now load one extra mag, finish up with here. I think what we'll do is maybe go short, then go long. I'll finish up with some rounds on the gong. See if you can tell the difference between the 40 and the 45 going out the gong. Okay, here we go. Generation 2, okay? Glock 23. Again, see if you can tell any difference. I might switch off here. Generation 4. Okay, Generation 2. I'm just going to shoot at the tombstone. Okay, Generation 4, same thing. that should give you a pretty good bird's eye view of the slide and the action. Let's go long range now. Go Mr. Gong hunting. All right, so that one got hung up or something as it came out. I'm not sure what happened with that one. So Generation 4 feels good. Maybe you could tell some difference shooting both of them that way. I can sense a little difference, and you know, since they changed that spring around like they did, you know, and I know that's a bit of a controversial subject. I guess one would hope that there's some improved recoil, I guess, characteristics, you know, since it's a different spring and the slides redesigned, you know, to some extent for that purpose. So feels good to me, and it feels kind of like an improved recoil sensation, you know, over this one. This one seems to come back a little harder at me. I don't know. I don't think it's my imagination. I can tell a little difference there. But mainly, I need an excuse to get both of these Glock 23s out and fire them, because they are really, really, really sweet. So hopefully that told you a little bit. Nothing else. I got a chance to shoot a couple of nice guns again, and glad you were here to witness it. So life's really good.